Welcome! You're listening to Making Relationships Work. We're a company focused on women and their marriage. We lead and teach women just like you how to grow into and access, whenever you need to, your wise woman's self. The part of you who is deeply connected to your purpose, your innate wisdom, and your husband and family. We teach women in marriages how to rebuild trust and connection, to work through conflicts no matter how deep, no matter how painful, and to lead your marriage to a place where the two of you experience marriage mastery. This podcast is about learning the systems and techniques that truly work to reconnect you back into your marriage so that you can experience the freedom that comes with a masterful marriage. Since this podcast is totally free, if you're getting tons of value and you want to support us and make sure that you get more of this good stuff, subscribe below and rate and review our podcast today. Now, on to the show. Hello everybody, it's Meg, coming live to you in our winter outfits because down here in Australia it is getting cold. So we are in fall, and in the morning it's really cold, but the afternoons are warming up beautifully. And so I wanted to welcome you to our second Facebook Live of the week, which is going to be a regular event. We're going to be covering topics that work for you. And tonight we're doing something really exciting. Tonight we are talking about couples counseling. And let me tell you, couples counseling is a hotly debated topic when it comes to marriages that are in crisis. And one of the first things people do when they are in crisis is think, we'll go and find a counselor. And you know what? I love that. Counselors, as a general rule, therapists are amazing and they can offer wonderful, wonderful insights. But couples counselors are less amazing. And I'm going to talk you through why and what that means and what to do about it and why on earth you should not be doing couples counseling, particularly when it's not working for you. So we're going to talk through all of that. But first of all, let's talk about why a couple needs to go to couples counseling. The thing around couples counseling is that when we are going to it, we are in dire straits. So did you know that the average couple has been in crisis for 6 years before they seek out a therapist? 6 years. Now the problem with that 6 years is that 6 years of pain has been compounded, disregarded, avoided, to the point where the two people are in a separation emotionally. Very often they've moved physically apart as well. They're sleeping in separate beds. They are kind of co-looking after their children, but not in a way that allows them to feel connected as a team, kind of running the household, but they're not enjoying each other. They're not enjoying their marriage. They're not creating a marriage that feels uplifting, that feels like they're a we, not two me's. Does that make sense? And so they are in agony. They're in agony, and they finally decide to Google search couples counselors, and they're very often thinking about it from a cost perspective, and they're very often thinking there is no other alternative. Some people have options through their church, and that option is, it really is dependent on who it is that is trying to serve you and what they know about couples. And so really we could probably bundle them into this. So what I wanted to talk to you today about is why couples counseling, the traditional version that you find kind of in every town, doesn't work. And I want to explain to you exactly why that is, because there is evidence around this, there is research around this. So the thing is, I'm going to talk science for a minute with you because you guys probably might know this about me. I really believe in science. I really do. And psychology is the melding of art and science. And so let's go science for a little while as a team. So when you are in pain and you've waited 6 years to get help, the average couple does, you are needing help immediately. Now, the first thing is that couples counselors, there's not many of them because it's a really specialized skill set. So first of all, there's not many of them who are really good, and there's not many of them in general. Second of all, you can be waiting up to 6 months to get an appointment. Now, you've already been in crisis for 6 years. You need an appointment that week. Yeah. Thirdly, typically most couples counsellors aren't well trained. Now, I do not want you to think that that is true of every couples counsellor. Of course it's not. There are some magnificent couples counsellors out there, and I have been trained in the space of the best in the world. So there are wonderful couples counsellors out there, but there is a very large number. I don't even want to put a percentage on it, 80% of them who are not well trained. And that is the problem. These are well-intentioned, beautiful therapists who are trying to serve their community. And they think that adding, because they're very good at individual therapy, right? So they think that they're just adding to another individual and that together they can just figure it out. But couples are a whole different experience. And being able to contain that level of grief and trauma and anger and volatility, and contain it in a way that the two of them come closer together instead of separating. Now, that is an entirely different skill set, and most couples counselors are underprepared. So they're underprepared to be able to hold the emotions in the room and to have both people feel heard and understood. Yeah? And so we start from a platform of not being able to make a room safe and feel well balanced and well rounded. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the techniques that you use for a couple are entirely different than the ones you use for individuals in order to make sure it works. So here's the science part of this. We know that if you look at all of the couples therapists in America, which has been done, and we measure their efficacy, which means we measure the outcomes that they get over a longitudinal period, which means a long time. We know that the average effect size, which is the treatment measurement outcome where you get a better marriage, is 0.5. Now, let me put that into context. I would normally draw you a bell curve. So a bell curve is a curve that goes like that. Now, it goes from -3 to +3. An average couple that comes in for pain and hurt and disconnect and crisis is in the -3 kind of category. And that is the disaster side. So you've got -3, -2, -1, and then 0 is the middle. And so if you're on that side, you're in disaster zone, you're in crisis, okay? And you want to get to the other side of the bell curve where you have 0 to +1, +2, +3. Yeah, and that's where the masters live. That's where great marriages live, where you get to feel amazing, where you get to experience connection and love and support and those little in-jokes that make you feel like you're part of a we, where it's the two of you against the world. Yeah, that's where the marriages live. They live up that other side of the bell curve in the pluses, +1, +2, +3. So an average marriage comes in at -3. And if you go to a typical couples counsellor, you will get half an effect size better on average, because you see them for an hour a week if you're lucky. Most couples see an hour a fortnight, and they go from -3 to -2.5. And it takes them 6 months before they realize it's not working. And because it hasn't worked, people then assume that their marriage is doomed. And actually, unfortunately, even though they've gone from -3 to -2.5, it still feels terrible. It's still in the disaster zone. There's no relief. We can't have that. And this is why couples counseling doesn't work. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that when you do the type of couples counseling that I teach in my program, when you use these methodologies, which are proven, tested, efficacy over long-term longitudinal studies, we know that what I teach works. And we know that because we've done the studies. Okay, so not me, big institutions. Yeah, so this is not some kind of thing that I made up and I'm now teaching people that I don't know if it doesn't work, right? I know this works because I believe in science. So what I teach takes the average couple from -3 to between +1 and +2 in the mastery. And that means that the therapy that I endorse, that I'm trained in, that I use, has an effect size of 4. So I want you to just let that sink into you. 0.5 for your average couples counselor, 4 for the work that I subscribe to and educate and teach you. Okay? Now, you can find couples counselors out there who have the skills to be able to deliver an outcome at a 4 in terms of will it work. You can do that. That is doable. But you've got to find them. And when I saw my people in real life, because I only work online now, I only have one couple left in person that I adore, that I see. And I miss that a little bit, but I can help way more people this way. So I'm leveraging how I do my work. So when you find these people, like me, like I used to be, my wait list was 6 months, because the type of therapy that gets you from -3 to plus, between +1 and +2, when I get you to there, I need to do it in a way that is deep and wide and long. Yeah? And that is really important, because I need to do it in a way that is well structured and well thought through. And your 0.5 therapists don't have the structure, they don't have the research, they don't have the protocols, and they don't have the containment of big emotions in a room where both people feel safe, secure, held. And that is why couples therapy doesn't work traditionally. Okay, so I want to talk to you about, hello Heather, I want to talk to you about what it feels like to be held in a therapeutic space where both of you are heard, understood, and validated. What that feels like is a masterful marriage, where your husband feels like, hey, this new way of talking and communicating and this new culture that we have, that's pretty good. I like that. And I feel like I can step into that and make it my own. That is where you get change and transformation. And so very often the women that call me have been through 6 months, 12 months of couples therapy. Their husbands usually hate it. They hate it. And they refuse to go back. They say, I want to stay married to you, but this isn't working. I don't feel heard. I don't feel understood. She or he is on your side, or they can't help us. So that must mean our marriage is doomed. And I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to do that every week or every fortnight for an hour where it feels like we bring up all of this pain and then it's not held and then we're not dealt with. So the thing about the therapy that I subscribe to and that I use is that you will see notable changes in just a few weeks. I'm talking real life sustainable change. And on Friday night, your time, which is tomorrow night, I'm posting an interview with one of my beautiful wise women who's graduated recently, who also comes from a family who has a subscription to evidence-based practice. And she is 5 months post-graduating with me. And she's my first kind of longitudinal version of, does this work long-term? You're going to love watching her. So her name is Anna. I say Anna. Americans say Anna. So I call her Anna and she doesn't mind. I call her Anna in the video, and you'll see it tomorrow. So you will see that the work that I do with women who cannot get their husbands to go back to therapy, because usually they've found terrible therapists who have done more harm than good. They come and they find me and they say, counseling is not an option, or the people in our area are not good enough. I need to be able to take on responsibility here for my marriage and really lead and set the cultural tone of how we do things in our marriage. And I feel called that the truth of it is that I can do that. The only thing is I don't know how. And so what we do is we talk through how to do that, what it feels like to be the one who shows up in a different way. And of course, being the scientist that I am, everything I teach is evidence-based. because that's how I work, that's how I roll. And so I really want you to be aware that exploring couples counseling is a very valid option. You can find some wonderful women. There are couples counselors that are men out there. You can find some wonderful couples counselors, but I want you to get a lot more clarity over what it is that they offer and what their success rates are. And I want you to start interviewing them. I want you to call them and say, what are your success rates? And they won't be able to answer that question. And if they can't answer that question, you're in the wrong cohort or group of therapists. And so you need to hang up and you need to Google again. And if you're going to do couples counseling locally, you're going to not stop until you find someone who can give you the numbers that I just gave you. Okay? That's how you know if you've got the right person. Then the two of you need to see if you can, so if your husband will go and you found the person that can give you the numbers and you go in, then you still assess them. Your job is to find the person that both of you feel safe with. Okay? That is really important. The other thing to remember is that you don't actually have to go to counseling to be able to do this. I can teach you the skills you need for the two of you to do this together. And so if getting to a counseling appointment is really tricky, and let's face it, if you've got a young family, it is. And if you want to go fast, then working with me is a good idea. So when you're in crisis, the last thing you want to do is go for 1 hour every week, if you can make it, after waiting a few months to get in, and just slowly get through the pain. It's like, I don't know, it's like having a really hairy arm and trying to take off a Band-Aid, an elastoplast, right? Oh my gosh. And do you even call them Band-Aids and elastoplasts? It's like, what are those little bandages you use to stop bleeding and stop infection? Trying to peel that off with the hair. That's the worst kind of therapy on the freaking planet. I do not want you to put yourself through this. You're already in enough pain. You've had 6 years of pain. Going for 1 hour to kind of work through it slowly is excruciating. It's agony. And it doesn't have to be like that. The two of you can actually feel like you're on the same team, creating what we call, okay, let me tell you about this. When my women come into my program, we talk about their first marriage, as in the one they're in right now. And we talk about how it's crumbled and there's kind of rocks and rubble and pain everywhere, right? That's what it is. And so you want to be able to clear the rubble so that you can design a new place, a new marriage to live in. And so I'm like the architect of that. I'm going to teach you how to clear the rubble. I'm going to help you design a home that suits the two of you. And then we build it. And so when you leave the program, you've got marriage 2. Not marriage 4, marriage 2. And that, my loves, that is everything. And you do it in 8 weeks. And so, yes, it's immersive, but it's transformational. And it allows the two of you to come together. And that is the real difference between couples counseling. Because you probably wouldn't, and all of you who have been in couples counseling, probably none of you have had that experience where you're like, here's a discussion about my first marriage to this beautiful man. And here's how I'm going to build this new marriage. And we're going to do it together. And it's going to serve us because it's custom built just the way we like it. That, my friends, is what couples counseling should be. And is it? No, it's not. And so I want you to get really serious about your marriage, your first marriage. I want you to clear out your first marriage so that you can create the second marriage, so that you can have this wonderful experience together as a team. Okay, because this is the dream. The dream is that first stage of marriage where you were utterly in love and you had all of the neurochemicals going crazy and the two of you couldn't get enough of each other. That limerence phase is what it's called. You can't have that again in your marriage. But you know what? You can have a version of that that is even better. When you live on the other side of the bell curve in the masterful space, where the two of you are a team, where you're a we, not two me's, and you come together and you have this wonderful life together. This is totally doable. It's absolutely within reach. And I want you to have that. And so I don't want you to waste your time with therapists that have a poor effect size and treatment outcomes. I don't want you to do that. I want you to find the person who is going to be able to help you understand what happened in marriage 1, clear out the rubble, and then find each other and build a new marriage. So the two of you have complete ownership over it. So you can be heard and be understood and be loved and validated and supported just for being who you are, where you can have this experience of making life dreams come true and have a wonderful time doing it, where the next time that argument pops up, the two of you know exactly how to handle it, you know exactly what to do about it, and you know that it's only going to bring you closer together because you know how to do it. That, my friends, is the whole point. It's the whole point. And the thing around conflict is that most of us are conditioned to think that it's terrible, but conflict is normal. Yes? Every relationship has conflict. What matters most is that you know how to maneuver or navigate or manage your own experience of conflict so that it brings you closer together. And that is doable. Let me tell you, that is doable. Okay, so I'm just going to have a scroll through here. There's been a lot of comments while I've been talking. I just want to see if there's any questions that I can answer. Oh, Lisa is here. I love you, Lisa. Lisa's one of my wise women. Here's Heather. Couples therapy is frustrating. Your experience is that there's a need to have a therapist take sides. Exactly. And they don't mean to do that. It's just that they're used to doing individuals. And when you do individuals, you take that person's side. That's part of the clinical rapport. And so the training is missing for that, Heather. That's why you're feeling like they're taking my side or my husband's side, because I don't know how to hold the space for both. Your husband is asked to go back to couples therapy, but you're not going to take your time. Yeah, that makes sense to me, Heather. And Natasha says plaster. Thank you. That's the Band-Aid thing. Yes, plaster. And Heather says you've never heard of the other name. Elastoplast. Is that the right name? I don't know. New foundation. That's what you're hoping for. Okay. I'm not sure, Heather, what you mean by what if you never had that phase of limerence. You will have had a version of it. There is no couple that didn't come together, and maybe an arranged marriage, actually, as I speak it out loud. That would be the only one. Every couple has a limerence, and it can last between 3 months and 2 years. That's kind of what it takes to bond you together there, typically. But if you have something else that you want me to answer, Heather, now is a good time. Pop it in the comments. Okay, my loves, I'm going to finish up this Facebook Live soon, but I'm going to put in the comments a breakthrough call booking link. This is a free call that we do to serve women in this community, to get them really clear on what's working and what's not working. And if we can help, we will. And if we can't, we'll send you to wherever it is you need to go. So that link is going to be put in the comment thread here. And I also want to encourage you to watch my masterclass, because some of the techniques that I teach in my program are in there. And you can see exactly how it is to find your husband and start reconnecting. Because when you're reconnecting, the two of you can say, okay, so we're back sort of on solid ground-ish, but we really need to build our marriage too. So how are we going to do that? And together, the two of you can co-create the next marriage that you want. So watch the masterclass. I'll put that link in. And also, if you want to book a call, you can do that. And there will, at the end of the masterclass, there's a link to do that as well. My loves, it's time for me to go. I, again, am about to go and see my women who are in my program. We start our call in 7 minutes. So I love seeing them. And if you would like to see another content topic covered next week, I'll be going live again next week on Monday night and Thursday night. Then please feel free to let us know in the comments. Leilani and I will be watching. And we will start to build out a program of live conversations where you can have your questions answered, or you can understand more about what it is that we do and how we do it. Okay, my loves, I miss you already. I'm going to see you next week. Have a very lovely long weekend. I hope you have a wonderful Easter. I miss you already. And we've got a lovely program of conversations that we're starting in this group. So I'm looking forward to getting to know all of you even better. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Happy Easter, and I'll see you next week. Bye, lovelies.